Yes, this is Lockerbie, a little market town about 25 miles north of Carlisle, and world famous for the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, which resulted in the biggest murder investigation in Scottish history. Why am I here? Well, we have a steam charter at Carlisle today, but it's not due until 2:45. My train would arrive at the Citadel before 9:45 in the morning. What would I do with 5 hours to kill? So, a couple of hours in a different location, a Transpennine train for the short trip south to the border city, and then see what I can capture of the Cumbrian Mountain Express. Although Lockerbie Station is managed by ScotRail, its passenger service is provided almost exclusively by Transpennine Express, with hourly services northbound alternating between Edinburgh and Glasgow, and southbound between Liverpool Line Street and Manchester Airport. The other operator of passenger trains along this stretch of the West Coast Main Line is Avanti, but very few of their services call here. Most pass through the station at speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. Back in gentler days, when steam ruled, speeds were lower, and long since vanished branch lines still existed, Lockerbie Station had more platforms and an overall train shed. The last vestiges of its wall can be seen today. The town hall clock can be clearly seen from the platforms, but its chimes didn't seem to be working today. The station's immediate neighbours make for an interesting coupling, a major clash of cultures. Something has happened to the south. I don't know what. And all northbound trains are running late this morning, some by as much as half an hour. The passengers not boarding this Glasgow-bound train are waiting for a following Edinburgh service, each running 25 minutes late. I had hoped to capture some freight trains travelling through the station at speed, something which obviously is impossible at Carlisle. 2 freighters are booked to pass through during my short stay here. Will I be in luck? It seems that the answer is to be no. The London Gateway to Coatbridge service at 1,475 tonnes, timetabled to take over 14 hours for its journey and restricted to a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour, cannot be allowed to hold up fast passenger trains, and so is being put into the down loop, which it enters at a snail's pace. A southbound freighter is due, then I'll take the next train for Carlisle. But the passenger train is running close behind the freight, so I expect it will also be diverted into the loop. And here comes my train, so grab my kit, make sure I haven't left anything, and join a crowded service. And I'm soon across the border and back on familiar territory. I had more or less expected today's charter, rerouted from the Cumbrian coastal route because of the closure of Whitehaven tunnel, to be hauled by Tangmere. But I'm delighted to hear that it's running behind Black 5, number 45212. Unfortunately, it's not scheduled to set out on the return trip until 1651, and I need to be on the 1609 ScotRail service to get me back to Dumfries in time to catch the last bus home. Oh, the joys of living out in the sticks. So, I'll head out to Peteril Bridge for some aerial filming, and then have to miss out on the departure. The old problem with filming on the Settle and Carlisle line. Running reports are few and far between. I use both real-time trains and the signal box map to try to work out when to launch the drone. But the train first appears in the distance some 10 minutes later, and it's not in a hurry. For those unfamiliar with the area, the nearer set of tracks is the Tyne Valley line, leading across the Pennines to Newcastle-on-Tyne. The farther tracks, with the train approaching, is the Settle and Carlisle. "45212 is one of 842 Black 5 locomotives designed by Sir William Stanier for the London, Midland and Scottish Railway, built between 1934 and 1951. They were intended for mixed traffic duties, capable of hauling express passenger trains at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour, although higher speeds have been recorded, or hauling heavy goods. A truly versatile and reliable go-anywhere, do-anything engine. London road signals, and we could be in for a long wait here, so I bring the drone home and do a hasty battery change. From here on we've lost the sound, not that there's all that much anyway with the camera situated so far away from the drone. A soundless finale seems to be becoming a hallmark of mine. London Road Junction, with the curve leading away to the left to Upperby Yard. The train will use this curve later this afternoon to reverse back into the Citadel, facing south and ready for the homeward trip. Somewhere around here, the drone lost contact with the controller. I was left staring at a frozen screen, but the drone continued filming until it did as it's pre-programmed. It turned around and came home. The return flight gives a fine view of the miles of terraced houses built in Victorian times to house the enormous numbers of workers employed on the railway back in the 19th century. With a final glimpse of Peterel Bridge Junction. Thanks for watching, and here's to the next time.